The Serbian Air Force and Air Defense is the Air Force of Serbia and service branch of the Serbian Armed Forces, established on 24 December 1912 in the city of Nis. It was absorbed into the various Yugoslav Air Forces between 1918 and 2006. History. The first aviation pioneer in Serbia was Lieutenant Kosta Miletić, trained as a balloon pilot at the Technical Aeronautical School near St. Petersburg, Russia from 14 February 1901 to 12 November 1902. Miletić was also trained in the use of carrier pigeons. On the recommendation of Miletić, the Serbian Armed Forces posed messenger pigeon stations, and bought 2 free spherical and 1 tied kite balloon from the August Riding Company from Augsburg. At the reception ceremony, on 19 April 1909, Kosta Miletić flew a spherical balloon called Srbija. 1 balloon was provided from Russia, a gas chamber was ordered from the Dillman Company in Berlin, and a field winch from St. Petersburg. A hydrogen unit was provided from the Swiss company Lycon. The equipment was delivered to Serbia in 1909 and 1910. The first competition for cadet airmen in Serbia was opened in May 1911, and in the following year the first class of Serbian pilots started the flying training in France from 21 May to 8 September 1912 and got the rank of pilot. They finished the course in the beginning of the First Balkan War with aircraft and the balloons that had already been obtained prior to the outbreak of war. In the autumn of 1912, Serbia got the aircraft for its armed forces. On 24 December 1912, the head of the military ministry Radomir Putnik approved the formation of the aviation command situated in Nis. The commander was Major Kosta Miletić. It comprised the aircraft squadron, which counted 12 military aircraft, the balloon squad, the pigeon post and the base. This date is regarded in Serbia as marking the official founding of the Air Force. This made Serbia one of the first 15 states in the world to have an Air Force. Balkan Wars. The First Balkan War broke out in October 1912. Montenegro, Bulgaria, Greece, and Serbia waged it against the Ottoman Empire. In this war, the Serbian Aviation Command had its first combat experience. In February 1913, the High Command of Serbian Army formed an expeditionary coastal airplane squadron in order to aid the Montenegrin ground force against Ottoman troops who were reinforced at the town of Skadar near the Adriatic coast. Air support for this formation was assigned to the newly established Coastal Airplane Squad, the first Serbian Air Combat Unit, with 4 airplanes and 5 pilots under the command of Major Kosta Miletić. In mid-March 1913, this combat air unit was located near the front line at a newly built airfield in the village of Barbalusi. The first reconnaissance flight was made on March 20 by Lt. Zivagin Stankovic and Sergeant Mihailo Petrovic. In this combat reconnaissance flight on his farm in HF 20 over the Skadar front on 20 March 1913, Sergeant Mihailo Petrovic was killed, thus becoming the first casualty in the history of the Serbian military aviation and the second one in world aviation history. Mihailo Petrovic was the first trained Serbian airplane pilot. He completed his training and exams at the famous Farman Pilot School in France and was awarded the International Flight License No. 979 in June 1912. His Serbian pilot's license carries the number 1. The next day, pilots Lt. Zivajin Stankovic and Sergeant Miodrag Tomic successfully completed the first reconnaissance flights, and in the following days, pilots Milo Zilic, Stankovic and Tomic dropped a number of small bombs and conducted reconnaissance flights. A fascinating fact represents that the pilot Tomic and Esad Pasha, the former Turkish commander at the Skadar frontline, would meet in a completely different situation 2 years later, during the First World War, when pilot Tomic needed help. After Bulgaria attacked at Bregalnica in Serbia, the Second Balkan War began. The first reconnaissance mission had been performed by Miodrag Tomic, and after that Tomic and Stankovic took turns, and during a period of a month and a half, as the war with Bulgarians lasted, the two airmen performed 21 reconnaissance missions, of which Tomic did 14 flights. During one flight above Kriva Palanka, Tomic encountered a Bulgarian plane in the air, but neither one had weapons and they just greeted one another by hand-waving. World War I general mobilization in the summer of 1914 found the Serbian aeroplane escadron not well prepared. The aeroplane escadron had only 9 aeroplanes, of which 7 were in flying condition. 5 planes and 3 pilots were relocated to the airfield at Dabica. For that airfield, Captain Sivajin Stankovic and Second Lieutenant Miodrag Tomic on August 13, 1914 commenced the first reconnaissance flights in the Great War. Tomic took off from the airfield at Jevremovasi on August 27 at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Above Misha he encountered an enemy plane and they were quite close to each other. The enemy plane opened fire on Tomic, who did not expect this, but he avoided it with an appropriate and fast maneuver, so the plane did not sustain any hits. Fire was coming from a parabellum. It was probably the first exchange of fire between aircraft in history. Because of air supremacy of the K.U.K. Luftfahrtruppen over the Serbian front, in March 1915 the French escadrille arrived under command of Major Roger Vitrat to aid the weakness of the Serbian aeroplane escadra. The French escadrille held the front line from Smederevo to Loznica, and the Serbian escadra from Smederevo to Golubac. After the conquest of Serbia by the Central Powers in the autumn of 1915 and the great retreat of the Serbian army to the island of Corfu, in spring 1916 the Salonika front was formed. In the autumn of 1915, the first medical transport of the wounded and sick in world aviation history was realized in Serbia. One of the ill soldiers in that first medical transport was Milan Stefanic, a Czechoslovakian pilot volunteer. In June 1916, the reconstituted Serbian army sailed from Corfu and joined the French and British at Salonika. At the Salonika front line, with the support of the Allied force, the Serbian aeroplane escadra was reorganized. For mid-1916 to 1918 at the Serbian part of the new established front line, 5 escadrilles were operated, and squadrons were staffed with French and Serbian personnel. These Air Force units were officially known as the Aeronautice de l'Armia QT Serba, Serbian Army Air Service, and were attached to the High Command of Serbian Army. It was commanded by a French officer, Major Roger Vitrat. In the beginning of 1918, the new reorganization was started when the first Serbian escadrille was formed on January 17, and the second Serbian escadrille on May 1, 1918, staffed with Serbian personnel. World War II. The attacking forces engaged in the April War were 2,373 aircraft strong, including 12 aircraft from Germany, 647 from Italy and 287 from Hungary, while the Royal Yugoslav Air Force had 494 airplanes, only 269 of a modern type. Thus the ratio in the beginning of operations was 5-1 in favor of the enemy, and if we count only modern Yugoslav aircraft the ratio climbs to 7-1 in favor of the Axis powers. In spite of huge logistic difficulties and acts of treason, the Royal Yugoslav Air Force fulfilled its duties with honor. Yugoslav airmen fought with incomparable courage against an enemy superior both technically and numerically. Especially the 5th and 6th Fighter Regiment pilots showed the bravery. During the war operations a total of 1416 takeoffs was made, 993 of which were performed by fighters and 423 by bombers. During this short war 135 flight crew members and 576 ground personnel bravely lost their lives. About 300 Yugoslav Air Force personnel escaped, first to Greece then to Crete. After the Battle of Crete they went on to the deserts of the Near and Middle East, where for a short time they found a safe place. Meanwhile, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel had already arrived with his Africa Corps. In June 1941 the 20th Hydro Aviation Escadrille under command of Lt. Vladeta Petrovic with its no-surrender war flag was renamed in the 2nd Yugoslav Squadron, attached to No. 230 Squadron RAF. NATO bombing of Yugoslavia. An important portion of the 1999 war between Yugoslavia and the NATO coalition involved combat between the Yugoslav Air Force, which was the predecessor of today's Serbian Air Force, and the opposing air forces of NATO. United States Air Force F-15S and F-16S flying mainly from Italian Air Force bases attacked the defending Yugoslav fighters, usually MiG-29s, which were in bad shape due to lack of spare parts and maintenance. A total of 6 Yugoslav MiG-29s were shot down in 1999, of which 3 were shot down by USAF F-15S, 1 by USAF F-16, and 1 by ARNAF F-16. One aircraft, according to a Serbian documentary, was hit by friendly fire from the ground. Another 4 were destroyed on the ground. During the course of the air war, Yugoslav anti-aircraft defenses downed a USAF F-16C and an F-117 Nighthawk, the first stealth aircraft to ever be shot down in combat. Role: maintaining airspace dominance, intercepting and eliminating airspace violators, providing air support and transport for terrestrial units, responding to natural disasters. Equipment. Aircraft. The Air Force fleet consists of several Soviet combat aircraft, consisting of a number of MiG-21s and MiG-29s. Serbia is looking to replace its aging fleet with new multi-role combat aircraft. Before its demise, the former Yugoslav Air Force was developing the Novi Avion project, which was intended as a replacement. The project was cancelled in 1991 due to the collapse of Yugoslavia. Serbia, as the largest succeeding nation of Yugoslavia, took possession of the entire Yugoslav Air Force inventory. After the agreement on sub-regional arms control was enacted in 1996, dozens of J-22, J-21 and G2S have been withdrawn from service. The Air Force operates from 3 major air bases: the 204th Batajnica Air Base and 98th Ladovci Air Base and Nis Air Base. Air defense. The Serbian Air Force operates a variety of Soviet surface-to-air missile systems. Many are long-range with a moderate amount of short-range weapons assigned to infantry units. The 250th Air Defense Missile Brigade operates SAR-3 and SAR-6 surface-to-air missile systems. The military is upgrading both types with fire and forget ability. The Air Force has upgraded NEVR-M to the NEVR-M1T standard and CARB-M to CARB-M2 for defending air bases and important infrastructures, both as 40mm L-70 in complement with M85 Zirafar radars are used, and for engaging low-flight targets 9K-38IG LASR-18. SAR-6 were upgraded also with improved R-60 and R-73. Those air-to-air missiles are added on the existing SAR-6 system. Radars S-605 654th observation radars, S-613 altitude measurement radar, and TPS-73D radar, AS-74 and AS-84 automatized systems. Organization: Air Force and Air Defense Command 210th Signal Battalion 333rd Engineering Battalion Air Medical Institute, MOMA Stanojlovic Aeronautical Plant Section for Air Control, Protection and Allocation, 204th Air Brigade Batajnica Air Base 101st Fighter Squadron 252nd Training Squadron 138th Transport Squadron 890th Mixed Helicopter Squadron, 24th Air Technical Battalion 17th Airfield Security Battalion 177th Air Defense Artillery Missile Battalion, 98th Air Brigade Kraljevo-Ladovci Airport 241st Fighter Bomber Squadron 714th Anti-Armor Helicopter Squadron 119th Mixed Helicopter Squadron, 98th Air Defense Artillery Missile Battalion 98th Airfield Security Battalion 161st Airfield Security Battalion 98th Air Technical Battalion, 250th Air Defense Missile Brigade Command Company 1st Air Defense Missile Battalion 2nd Air Defense Missile Battalion, 230th Air Defense Self-Propelled Missile Battalion 240th Air Defense Self-Propelled Missile Battalion, 310th Air Defense Self-Propelled Missile Battalion, 126th Air Surveillance, Early Warning and Guidance Brigade Command Company 20th ASEWG Battalion, 31st ASEWG Battalion Air Maintenance and Supply Company, Aircraft. Current inventory air defense radars. Future: the Serbian Ministry of Defense intended the purchase of new multi-role combat aircraft to replace its aging fleet of MiG-21 and MiG-29 combat aircraft. Reports in the media speculate between 12 and 16 aircraft would be ordered and listed the F-16, F-18, Rafale, just 39 Gripen, Eurofighter Typhoon, Su-30 of the MiG-29M as possible candidates. Military analyst Miroslav Lazansky claimed Russia is offering Serbia 12 MiG-29M M2 combat aircraft along with S-300PM U-2 and Pantsir S-1 surface-to-air missile systems, as well as 2 radars for its air defense. In June 2013, Defense Minister Aleksandar Vučić suggested that Serbia might purchase 6 MiG-29M M2s. In July 2013, media reports suggested that Serbia might be interested in purchasing a squadron of medium transport helicopters, preferably the Mi-17. In the summer of 2014, Serbia abandoned its plans to purchase new MiGs from Russia or any other new aircraft in order to put aside 24 million dinars for the overhaul of G4 Superglebs. This decision depended on the level of scientific technological knowledge and financial capacity of the state. This is why Serbia is seeking a foreign partner for help in the modernization. Aircraft markings. The Serbian Air Force Roundel was officially adopted in 2006. The Roundel is an adapted version of the former Royal Yugoslav Air Force Roundel which ceased to exist in 1943. It is composed of a blue trim on the outside rim followed inward by the Serbian national colors red, blue and white, with a white cross in the center with blue trim. The Air Force also uses a low-visibility roundel of the same design, only replacing the traditional roundel colors of red, blue and white with two gray color variations of light and dark for contrast. These roundels have most recently been placed on refurbished MiG-29s. Most other aircraft continue to use the standard colored roundel. Serbian Air Force Centennial. The Serbian Air Force observed its centennial anniversary celebration on the 2nd of September 2012, marking 100 years of its existence by hosting an international airshow organized by the Ministry of Defense as the central manifestation. The airshow featured representatives from 16 countries around the world and 27 kinds of aircraft. Ranks.